The African National Congress is holding its first National Executive Committee meeting of the year amid rising temperatures among its members. The furore surrounding Lindiwe Sisulu's opinion piece continues, with calls growing louder for President Cyril Ramaphosa to axe Sisulu. Speaking yesterday, the party's spokesperson Pule Mabe said the party would never convene a meeting to discuss the utterances of an individual NEC member. Mabe was referring to tit-for-tat statements between the Presidency and the Tourism Minister related to the article entitled, "Hi Mzansi, have we seen justice?" Now let's get an update on the ANC NEC Lekgotla. We're now joined via Zoom by our reporter Natasha Phiri. Natasha, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Now, despite, of course, the ANC spokesperson saying there that they won't invest much time on one individual, we do know that the Lindiwe Sisulu matter dominated today's meeting.
Well, indeed, it actually dominated the meeting. So the NEC actually took place on Thursday and Friday, and currently yesterday and today is the ANC Lekgotla. We expect President Cyril Ramaphosa to actually brief us between 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. We're just waiting confirmation from the national spokesperson, Mr. Pule Mabe, of which we had communication with earlier on, and indeed he did confirm that the president would be speaking perhaps later on today on those outcomes. But as you've noted and as you've said, Unati, the bone of contention there at this weekend's NEC was the issue of Minister of Tourism Lindiwe Sisulu's letter, which he penned on the 7th of January earlier on this year. But I mean, quite interestingly, we saw what happened on Thursday night, where we got communique, we got a statement from the presidency saying that the minister had met with the president and she had retracted and apologized for a statement. An hour or so passed, and we then saw the minister of tourism saying that she did not apologize for her statement, and the statement was a misrepresentation of their meeting that she held with the president. We then saw another statement from the presidency sticking to their guns, saying that the minister did apologize. Friday morning, we then saw that statement by Minister Sisulu blaming the president's media team for deliberately being mischievous, in her own words, and for twisting what was agreed in that meeting. Now, as you've correctly said, despite what the national spokesperson of the ANC, Mr. Pule Mabe, had to say that no individual was discussed at NEC, we've gathered from reports and from our insiders that President Cyril Ramaphosa was under fire, or not under fire, beg your pardon. There was pressure on him to actually, fire the Minister of Tourism, Lindiwe Sisulu, for openly defying the president.
Now, of course, I'm sure he's also getting, a lot of pressure coming from other, streams, including alliance partners. We understand there was a letter that was penned by COSATU. Talk to us about this particular letter, particularly around the fact that concerns are being raised about ill discipline within the ANC NEC particularly.
Definitely, Unati. Yesterday, we saw that letter that the COSATU president, Mzansi, had actually penned to the ANC Lekgotla. And if I'll just read it out for you and the viewers. In this letter, she says that it is unacceptable and unbecoming for senior ANC leaders and cabinet members to attack the constitution. The failure of the ANC to discipline employees is feeding a culture of mediocrity. In fact, we are seen to reward and promote those who have been found wanting. If comrades are tired, then they must leave. As we emerge from a decade of state capture, we cannot tolerate ANC public representatives publicly attacking our constitution. And of course, that is quite scathing in light of what we've been seeing, but not only from the alliance as well. I mean, we've heard the acting Chief Justice, Mr. Raymond Zondo, also condemning Sisulu's, letter. We've seen the minister and the president, also citing that this is a silly season in that being that, all roads this December will be leading to the Nazareth conference. People are now, starting to actually campaign for those roles that they actually want to contest for. We've also seen the Justice Minister, Ronald Lamola, also condemning Sisulu in an opinion piece he actually wrote a week or so ago. So there have been some quarters calling for Sisulu to be fired. fired. Just talking to analysts during the week, saying that this is a sign, this is a minister actually daring the president to actually fire her. She's actually playing politics. And of course, varying views from various political analysts. But indeed, Unachi, silly season is upon us. There is a long way to go before NASREC in December, but it should be a really interesting one. But also other issues. I mean, not only the ANC Lekgotla issue. If you further read the letter by Mzansi Salosi, she actually condemns the ANC for not paying its staff. On Friday, we covered this very story where ANC staffers had complained that they have not been paid for 3 months. Their provident fund has not been paid. Medical aid has not been paid as well. And I mean, how is this going to impact the ANC Unati? I mean, those staffers had said that they're going to, they're not going to work. They're literally going to form tools down. And this will really have a dire impact on the ANC. You know that the ANC needs to sit for those regional and provincial conferences before December. And right now, just speaking to those staffers on Friday, they had said that the preparations for the regional conferences have come to a standstill, meaning also preparations for provincial will also come to a standstill. So indeed, it seems as if as the ANC prepares for conferences, they are really, really facing trouble.
And as you've said, there is a long time to go before December, while at a lot of stake too. But talk to us very quickly, before I let you go, Natasha, about the president expected to speak at 4 o'clock today. What are we likely to hear from him?
Definitely, the president is expected to speak at 4 o'clock today. But we were told, just before I went on air with you, I was told by an ANC insider that some presentations of commissions are still, underway and taking place. But we're expecting to actually, just come up with the outcomes of the Lekgotla this weekend, what government's outline or plan for this year in terms of service delivery, in terms of, economic recovery. So these are just some of the issues that, are expected to be touched on. It would be interesting to hear what the president has to say on this Sisulu matters. Pressure is really on him, on all quarters, from all quarters, I beg your pardon, to actually axe the Minister of Tourism, Lindiwe Sisulu.
Absolutely. Natasha, thank you so much for your time. Natasha Phiri there, our politics reporter. Well, staying with the story now and to get some more analysis, we are now joined via Skype by political analyst Xolani Dube. Xolani, thank you so much for your time. Now, what do we make of this back and forth between President Cyril Ramaphosa and Tourism Minister Lindiwe Sisulu? In your own view, how should the president deal with Lindiwe Sisulu? I mean, she is someone who wears many hats. One wonders what the parameters therefore are in which President Cyril Ramaphosa can and should act.
I think the issue here is an issue of an institution known as ANC. We have to accept that ANC is a shameless curse for us, the South African natives. And it seems as if they thrive on being kind of sadist. Hence, I'm saying most of the time, ANC is a pyramid of sadists. What she said regarding the Constitution, she was unpeeling our wounds. She was trying to use the motive issues in the society to gain support and popularity. But now we have to ask ourselves again, what is the difference between Lindiwe Sisulu and Cyril Ramaphosa, or Didi Mabuza and Pule Mabe? The answer is there is no difference. These are political black elite who thrive on selling us to those who have been oppressing us for centuries. And so I don't think that even these meetings where they lock each other, there is anything really tangible that they discuss on our behalf as well as on behalf of the next generation. What we have seen is just the rambling of the bloc political elite throwing us into their personal squabbles rather than dealing with the issues that are affecting us as a nation. Hence our analysis. It will always be difficult to apply any tool because you can't apply a tool in terms of analysis when you deal with personal squabbles, when you deal with egos, when you deal with greed. That's what characterizes the ANC currently.
What do we then make of this time that has lapsed where many quarters have criticized Lindiwe Sisulu with that original letter that she had penned, and her not actually showing any signs of remorse in terms of even trying to apologize, even when it came out that she'd actually apologized, she retracted, and in fact she made it clear that that did not happen and that she has nothing to apologize for?
Look, that's what I'm saying, is the character of the black political elite. They are arrogant, you know, and they've been displaying this arrogancy in a number of sectors, you know, and so we've seen them talking down to us, the South African natives, you know, and I don't think that really we have to say Lindiwe must go or Lindiwe must stay. I think the most important thing that we have to advocate as South African natives or as South African is to say, look, we need a paradigm shift in our country. And that paradigm shift, Unathi, is going to happen in 2024. But the question is, who are behind that paradigm shift? And if it's not us, South Africans, who are going to be spearheading that paradigm shift, we'll be finding ourselves in what we call it going slowly nowhere. Because we'll still be in that whirlpool of confusion, in that whirlpool of condemnation. Hence, I am saying it is time for South Africans to go out and recruit honorable people with untainted reputation and people who've got an agenda at heart to liberate, first and foremost, the natives of this country. Because what we see in ANC day in, day out, has nothing to do with the well-being of South Africans, but is about themselves. Like, for example, this interview is about Cyril and Lindiwe. It has nothing to do with us. We have people, as we speak, who are hungry. We have a number of young people who don't know what to do this year. And so they are not fighting on the well-being of South Africans. They are fighting to preserve their political livelihood. It has nothing to do with us.
Talking about livelihood and the fact that this is, much more than what we are currently seeing displayed in front of us. You know, the words that were uttered earlier this year, by leading ANC leaders, such that a strong ANC benefits both the party and government structures, and in fact even the country. Things like, the ANC is far from collapsing. Perhaps that paradigm shift that you speak of, where an active citizenry rises up and takes charge, is because of these utterances, that do somehow, put a lot of fear in South Africans as we lead up to the elective conference of the ANC in December, in terms of what then does it mean for the country should this party implode, as we've seen it do many, many times?
Look, we are in this hellhole because of the ANC. That's the fact. And so whether the ANC is bending or not, as the South Africans, trust me, we are a dead nation. And who are the real culprits is the ANC. And so that's why I'm saying we need to insulate ourselves from this ANC. And we need to rise above these ANC squabbles. Because what happened in 1994, the most dangerous thing, it was to ANCification of our identity and our destiny, And so we need to untangle ourselves in that ANCification so that we understand that being a South Africa, you can be a South Africa not being an ANC. Our destiny as a nation can't be determined by a political organization, because there is no nation in this universe or in this world that was ever liberated by a political party. Nations, they liberate themselves. And so the most important thing is that the South African natives, they must liberate themselves. They must not hand over, or they must not outsource their responsibility to political organization. Because if they do that, trust me, the destiny of the next generation is not going to be known. As you and I, as we are sitting here, Unathi, we don't know in the next 5 years, where we are going as a nation. And so that's why I'm saying we are in this inferno because of the ANC. We are burning in this hell because of the ANC. And so if ANC is imploding, if ANC is disappearing in the South African politics, I can assure you, it will be good for South African, but it must disappear according to our terms. Because if South Africans are not active participants in this paradigm shift, as I've said, we'll remain in this whirlpool of condemnation.
I'd like to go back to just some of the ideas that you have in which we can take this forward in terms of, just being in control of what's happening in this democratic dispensation, particularly as you start seeing some groups already coming out into the fray and galvanizing citizens to take control. But just some of the words that you're taking, if the ANC leadership were to be listening to you now, what would you say that the next steps are? I mean, I'm looking at this letter by COSATU President Zingiswalosi, who's already said that the movement is dying. Only bold action can save it. I mean, what should President Cyril Ramaphosa do now ahead of the elective conference in December?
Look, it's not about Cyril Ramaphosa, Unati. If I can ask you a question, would you encourage your kids or your child or your relatives who are younger than you to emulate ANC leaders? Would you encourage them? I just want you to give me an honest answer. Because if you don't have an answer, if you can't say yes publicly, it shows that in South Africa, there is a serious, deep-rooted issue of leadership, of people that I as a father, you as a mother, we can't tell our kids to say, emulate Titi Mabuza, emulate Paul Mashadile, you can emulate Cyril Ramaphosa. If the leaders that are leading this country we can encourage our kids to be like them. And so it shows that as a nation, we are in what we call it dictatorship of no alternative. We have to change that and create alternative. Hence, I am saying the ANCification of South Africa and South African destination or destiny, we need to ban it. We need to start to craft a South Africa that is inclusive, not a South Africa that has been ANCified.
As we start that journey of an inclusive South Africa, what does it look like to you?
Look, as I'm saying, the people who have the responsibility, according to the prescripts of democracy, is the majority. And who are the majority? Are the South African natives. Those are the people who are supposed to be the pillar of this country. Those are the people who are supposed to go through hell, whereas where we are in hell. The question is, what is the role of the majority in this country to rescue this country as well as the next generation? If us as the majority, we still in our discourse trying to deal with the ANC, because the South African discourse, all the analysts when they come here, they try to craft ideas on how to save ANC. The ANC discourse is delaying a progressive discourse in this country. If really I was part of the media, I was going to say from now on, there's no need for us to discuss about the ANC, because as I've said, young kids can't emulate these leaders. Young kids can't emulate Titi Mabuza. Young kids can't emulate Paul Mashadile. Young kids can each and every day when they go to TV and then they listen to the squabbles of Lindiwe versus Cyril. In the past, we grew up in the squabble of Jacob Zuma and Thabo Mbeki. And so that's the craft that has been created in our country to say black people or the natives are at each other's throats. They can't govern this country. They hate each other. That's the narrative that is being perpetrated. Hence, I am saying from now on, the ANC discourse is a discourse that is not progressive, but is a discourse that is strangulating other progressive discourse in our country.
Now, Xolani, as we wrap this interview, I mean, one of the things that I'd also like us to briefly touch on is what we are currently seeing in some of our metros. We have multi-party, strategies, as it were, in some of our metros, but already it seems there is trouble, especially in the DA-led metro. Let's talk about Johannesburg as an example. What are we seeing there in as far as that coalition is concerned?
Look, you know what he said. We live under the systems and structures that hate to see South African citizens being free and being fully human beings. Hence, each and every leader that claim to represent our interest, they are just political merchants. The fight that is there, it has nothing to deal with the issue of housing, but it's about their egos. Because the pain, all of them, they grew up through this pain. All of them, some of them, they come from rural areas, others, they grew up from sheds. The question is, why are they delaying our human liberty through their egos? Because what Malema is saying, what ANC is saying, what DA is saying, trust me, at the end of the day, in terms of black and white, is to say they want to improve our livelihoods, but their actions are contrary to what is written down. And so, as I'm saying, the current leaders, from a councillor to right up to the president, is a product of a crooked system, a system that is not there to benefit the South African, but a system that is there to benefit the ruling class, and a ruling class that thrive and that benefits through this chaos. Because if there is no chaos in South Africa, the ruling class can't rule us. But if there is chaos in South Africa, the ruling class will always rule us. Hence, I am saying we need a paradigm shift in terms of systems and structures, because these systems and structures, they are from colonialism, apartheid, and 1994 elite transition. And these systems are not there to embrace you and I. They are not there for nation building, but they are there clandestinely to divide us. And for those who make profits through this corruption and infighting, is not there to nurture and to protect a child who is at grade 1 as we speak.
Xolani Dube, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Always a pleasure speaking to you, and of course getting that perspective. Xolani Dube reminding us there, South Africans, that we need a paradigm shift in terms of the current systems and structures. Of course, the conversation that we are having is at the back of the African National Congress, holding its first National Executive Committee meeting of the year amid rising temperatures among its members.